You have to understand the sound. It wasn't a squish. It wasn't a thud. It was a crack, sharp, dry, like a glacier splitting under its own impossible weight. I was there, standing right behind the blast shield, and I swear I saw the shockwave ripple through Grogath's massive forearm before his brain even registered pain. 1 second, he was swinging a weighted training blade that could shear through a tank hull. The next, his wrist was bent at a 90-degree angle, an anatomy-defying bend, and he was staring at the ceiling lights with eyes rolled back. Truth is, he didn't realize he wasn't fighting a student. He was fighting a weapon system wrapped in soft skin. But wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. It didn't start with broken bones. 10 minutes earlier, things were boring. We were on the main floor of the Apex Citadel, polished chrome, air so clean it tasted like ozone, gravity settings cranked to crush. This is where the galaxy's elites send their offspring to become warlords. And then there was Grogath, a Krogan champion. 7 feet of carapace and ego, with 4 arms that looked like they were carved from granite. He dominated the center of the training floor, deadlifting a grav plate set to maximum density. Every time he dropped the weight, the whole deck vibrated. Everyone was watching him. I was watching him. Everyone, that is, except Maravance. She was tucked away in the corner, barely taking up space. A human. You don't see many in the Citadel. She was small, fragile-looking, performing rhythmic elbow impact calisthenics with weights we wouldn't even use for a warm-up. Grogath roared with every rep, demanding attention, while Mara breathed in out, smooth, controlled. The galaxy confuses silence with submission, but on Earth, the quiet ones are the survivors. I think that silence is what ticked him off. Grogath slammed his weights down. The clang echoed like a gunshot, wiping the sweat from his brow. He turned, for eyes narrowing as they locked on her. You could feel the air pressure drop in the room. He didn't just walk over, he marched. He wanted a show to remind lesser species where they stood on the food chain. Mara was just racking her light dumbbells when he stepped into her personal space, blocking the light, casting a shadow that swallowed her whole. Move! A soft skin! Grogath boomed. His voice vibrated in my chest. This rack is for warriors. The nursery is on the lower level. I saw Mara pause. She didn't flinch. She just set the weight down with a gentle click. She didn't look at his face. She looked at his center of mass. I am finished, Grogath, she said, flat, calm. The equipment is yours. She tried to step around him. A mistake or maybe bait. Grogath's lower arm shot out, slamming into the rack supports, barring her path. Metal screeched against metal, drawing every eye in the gym. You do not walk away when I am speaking, he sneered, leaning down, tusks inches from her face. You humans, we call them soft. They call themselves apex predators of endurance. You look like glass to me. Physics doesn't care about your family's political influence, Mara said, not whispering, but softly enough that you had to lean in to hear it. That did it. Grogath slammed his fist into the wall control panel. The amber perimeter lights flared to life. Force fields hummed into existence, sealing a 20-foot circle around them. Trapped. He rolled his shoulders, all forearms flexing, knuckles cracking like gunfire. Sparring protocol engaged. The automated system chirped cheerfully. I'm going to break you, Grogath growled, and I'm going to make the whole academy watch. I gripped the railing, ready to look away. I thought I was about to watch a massacre. The thing about Krogans is they don't just punch, they swarm. Grogath exploded forward like a mountain falling on you, all 4 arms swinging in a rhythmic, terrifying blur of muscle and intent. I braced for the sound of snapping ribs. Mara didn't even step back. She stepped in. It was like watching a ghost. Every time a fist should have connected with her skull, she was gone. A tilt of the head, a slight rotation of the hips. Centimeters, sliding through gaps in his reach like water through a sieve. Grogath roared, strikes widening, desperate. That's when I saw it, the shift. He was fighting a kinetic equation he didn't understand. Mara dipped under a massive uppercut, her hand flashing out like a serpent's tongue. She didn't punch his chest. She drove 2 fingers into the nerve cluster behind his secondary elbow. Snap. Just like that, his lower left arm went limp, dangling like dead weight. Grogath let out a sound I'll never forget. A high-pitched shriek of pure ego-bruised fury. He didn't care about rules anymore. He reached for the rack and ripped a weighted training blade off the wall. The safety sensor screamed, but the blade was already whistling through the air in a horizontal arc meant to decapitate. I shouted. Everyone did. Mara didn't blink. She moved before he did. Stepping inside the arc, into his chest where he couldn't generate power. One hand caught his wrist, the other braced his elbow, and she just twisted. I heard the joint pop from 20 feet away. The blade clattered to the floor, sparking against chrome. Before Grogath could even realize he'd lost his weapon, Mara's knee drove into his solar plexus with the force of a hydraulic press. He doubled over, gasping for air that wouldn't come. Mara didn't wait for him to recover. She pivoted on her heel, bringing her forearm down in a brutal strike behind his auditory ridge, the one soft spot on a Krogan skull. Thump! The giant hit the floor. The force fields flickered and died. The silence that followed was heavy. You could hear the medical drones humming as they zoomed in from the rafters. Commander Rail was already there, face unreadable as he looked from the unconscious champion to the tiny woman who hadn't broken a sweat. Explanation. Cadet, he barked. Mara didn't say a word. She reached into her pocket, pulled out a silver Iden chip, and tossed it onto the commander's datapad. I saw Vil's eyes widen. He said nothing else, just stepped aside. She walked past me, didn't even notice. She picked up her towel, wiped her hands, and headed for the exit. I looked back at Grogath, being loaded onto a hovering stretcher. He had spent his whole life thinking mass was everything. He never realized that on Earth we don't fight to dominate, we fight to finish. I don't know. Maybe the galaxy will learn. But after what I saw, I'm never calling a human soft again. Please follow my channel for more videos. One click from you can change my life.